Hello everyone, I'm Perna. Since we won't be meeting online, I'd like you to listen to the music I'll be playing, and this will give you an idea to the topic I'll be discussing, and this is also related to my topic in some sense. You can figure out my species name afterwards, and I'd like you to give its scientific name. The biology and culture of green mussels are known as Perna viridis. Its taxonomy, domain Eukaryota, kingdom Metazoa, phylum Mollusca, class Bivalvia, subclass Pteromorphia, order Metelloida, unknown Metolidae, family Metellidae, genus Perna, and its species is Viridis. The green mussel, Perna viridis, is a bivalve mollusk native to Asia and was recently introduced to Florida, USA, wherein 10 years ago, along the East Coast may have been through ballast water or from mussels attached to the hulls of boats and ships. That's why they discovered green mussels in Florida, USA. And it was first observed in the Caribbean in 1990. While here in the Philippines, mussel culture started only in 1962. In most marine mussels, the shell is longer than it is wide, being wedge-shaped or asymmetrical. The external color of the shell is often dark blue, blackish, or brown, while the interior is silvery and somewhat nacreous. Nacreous, this means the innermost layer of many mollusk shells, also known as mother of pearl. As you all know, there are 3 species of mussels here in the Philippines, which use as food. There are the green mussel, or known as Perna viridis, brown mussel, or known as Modolius metcalfei, and M. philippinarum, which known as a horse mussel. Mussels were collected throughout the year from the coastal region of the Bay of Bengal of Bangladesh, and the histological analysis of 242 mussels revealed 5 stages of gametogenesis with an annual spawning season from January to April. And here in the Philippines, peak period of spawning and setting is in April and May, and again in September to October. The green mussel Perna viridis, locally known as tahong, is one of the species commercially farmed in estuarine and marine areas in the Philippines due to its least cost in production and its ability to grow fast. It was least cost in production kasi gaya nga ng sinabi ko, it spawned 2 to 3 months lang. And this is commercially seafood commodity wherein known for its excellent source of omega-3 fatty acids. Next, their wide distribution in the coastal areas of the Indo-Pacific region makes them the most easily gathered seafood organisms, contributing a significant percentage to the world marine bivalve production. It is the most easily gathered seafood organisms kasi in mussel farming hindi na required yung mga technique compared to other aquaculture technologies. Kasi even unskilled laborers, men, women, and minors can be employed sa preparation ng spot collectors as well as sa pag-harvest. Yung spot is yung shellfish, which is usually smaller than an apple pip. Apple pip is the seed of an apple. In the Philippines, approximately 12,000 metric tons of mussels were produced in 1987. This amount ay binubuo lang ng farm green mussel, which is yung Perna viridis. Green mussel Perna viridis has separate sexes, although hermaphrodism usually occurs. So, ano nga ba ang hermaphrodism? Hermaphrodism ay pagkakaroon ng both male and female reproductive organs present in same individuals. Externally, it would be difficult to determine the sex. However, internally, as you can see in the picture, sa pamamagitan ng color of gonads and tissues, dito natin ma-identify. As you can see, the male appears creamy white in color, while in the female is reddish gonads or it can be orangey flesh. This bivalve species reaches sexual maturity within the first year and spawn with the rising of seawater temperature. Ang mga Perna viridis is nagsisettle sila ng high water and they are also nocturnal, which means they are active during night. It is a large and fast-growing commercially important species and has demonstrated prodigious cultural feasibilities in many countries, which means maaari din ito or may mga posibilidad na makulture ang Perna viridis sa ibang bansa. Environmental tolerances of Perna viridis are reasonably well known. It successfully adapts to salinities between 19 and 44 ppt. The lower thermal limit for 50% survival is about 10% and the reported upper tolerance limit is 37 to 42 degrees Celsius. And syempre, growth influenced by fluctuation or sa pagbabago ng temperatura, light intensity, food concentration, and composition of water, gaya din sa pagkukulture ng oyster. Life cycle of green mussels. Mussels have two relatively distinct phases in their life cycle, a free-swimming planktonic or larval stage and a sessile adult stage. The free-swimming larvae remains planktonic for 7 to 15 days depending upon the water temperature, food supply, and availability of settling materials. At about 2 to 5 weeks old, the larvae 0.25 to 0.3 mm seek a suitable substrate to settle on and final metamorphosis taken place, changing its internal organ structure to the adult form. The young spot then grow rapidly and within 4 to 8 weeks after settlement, they measure 3 to 4 mm in shell length. Next, in marine mussels, fertilization occurs outside the body, and there is a larval stage that lives for a period of 3 weeks to 6 months before settling down on hard surfaces as a young mussel. There, it is capable of moving slowly by means of attaching and detaching byssal threads to attain a better life position. Okay, I'll explain what's in the picture, which is the life cycle of Perna viridis. Syempre, it starts with releases of eggs from female mussels and sperm is from male mussels into the water. A sperm finds an egg and fertilizes it, forming a zygote. This process ay tinatawag nating broadcast spawning. Once fertilization happened, the cell in the mussel zygote start to divide and soon began to differentiate to form a swimming mussel larvae. When larvae reach about half a millimeter in size, they prepare to settle. Then, it anchored the larvae to its chosen surface such as seaweed. As you can see in the picture, as soon as larvae settled, nagbabago po sila. Yun po ang tinatawag nating metamorphose from their larval shape into more recognizable mussel life. At this stage, they are commonly known as spot. Spot po yung young shellfish na sinabi ko kanina. Then, dun na po madidevelop yung gills which they start to use to breathe and to gather food. Yung spot, maaari pa silang mag-crawl or basta mag-move with their foot or by mucus drifting. And as they grow larger, dun na sila pipili ng solid surface to settle permanently, like yung mga rocks, wood, ropes, at iba pa, or maaari din naman sa seafloor. It usually grows 80 to 100 mm for 1 year. The lifespan is approximately 2 to 3 years. Culture management. The cultivation of mussels has taken various forms in different countries of the world. However, as in all farming procedures, it requires careful consideration of environmental, ecological, and seasonal factors in order to ensure proper growth and survival of the stock through the harvest. The criteria for site selections are: number 1, site location. Dapat ang site location natin is well protected or sited that are not affected by strong winds and big waves. Kasi syempre naman kung may bagyo or kung malakas ang hangin, nadadamage nito ang ating stock and yung mga culture materials ng Perna Viridis. The sites also is accessible by land or water transportation are preferred. Ibig sabihin, dapat madali lang matransport ang ating Perna Viridis para makuha agad yung mga culture materials or pag nag-harvest ka na, maaari nating i-transport agad-agad. Next is the water quality. Area should rich in plankton, usually greenish in color. And syempre dapat ding malinis at free from pollution kasi yung mga mussels nag-accumulate sila ng toxic substance since they are filter feeder. And if they grow in polluted waters, makukonsumo nila or na nagkakos ng paralytic shellfish poisoning na maaari din nating makuha ito sa Perna Viridis if kinain natin. At saka malayo sa mga factory which is sa mga industrial waste and agricultural pesticides and herbicides. Kasi gaya nga ng sinabi ko, ang mussel ay nag-accumulate sila ng toxic substance. And the water temperature ay dapat 27 to 30 degrees Celsius and sa ideal salinity ay 27 to 35 ppt. Sa water depth for culture ay 2 meter and above for spot collection and cultivation. Next is the bottom type. It should be consists of mixture of sand and mud gaya ng pag-culture din ng oyster because this give better yield of mussels. Next is the culture method. The bottom culture, as the name implies, the mussels grow directly on the bottom. Intertidal and shallow water, dito nila nilulubog yung mga mussel in a set at all times. Next is the rock culture, where sea bottom is usually soft and muddy, which means is soft, malambot and muddy is in Ilocano known as pitak. And this is also called hanging method of mussel farming in the Philippines. The hanging method, it is the preparation of spot collectors. It is a piece of steel or stone na nakalakip sa dulo ng lubid para ma-prevent ng mga collectors na hindi mag-float yung ibabaw. Next is the stick or tulos method. The poles should be sturdy kasi nga 'di ba kung may malakas na hangin hindi agad masisira ang ating pagkukulture ng Perna Viridis. At saka maaari pa natin itong magamit sa next season if mag-culture ulit ng Perna Viridis. Next is the tree culture. As you can see in the picture, the tree hang between poles of hanging or stick method or suspended on 4 bamboo poles. Okay. May mga kawayan dyan na 4 and then the tree hang between poles. Next is the wigwam culture. The wigwam method requires a central bamboo pole serving as the pivot from which 8 full-length bamboo poles. Nakikita nyo naman na may mga 8 po na kawayan and it made to radiate by firmly staking the butt ends into the bottom and dun na sa gitna is ninail nila, nailing the ends to the central pole. And this is a wigwam fashion. The wigwam culture din, it allowed to grow to marketable size in 8 to 10 months. Next ay ang rope web culture. It was first tried in Sapyan Bay Capiz in 1975 by a private company kasi mahal po itong type of culture. Utilizing synthetic nylon ropes 12 mm in diameter. The ropes are made into web tights vertically to bamboo poles. Nagko-consist din ito ng dalawang parallel ropes with a length of 5 mm of each and 2 mm apart. Next is the bushu culture. This is also called the pole culture or stick culture. Makikita nyo naman na may mga big branches of trunks of oak tree na may mga 7 m apart on soft and muddy bottoms. Gaya din ng pag-culture ng oyster. The deep water culture, and it has raft culture, and it may be an old wooden boat with a system of outrigger built around it, and it is an ordinary plain wooden raft para mag-float and may anchors. Next is the long line culture. It is an alternative to raft culture in area less protected from wave action. Ito yung to maintain the long line and to prevent it from moving. It should be concrete anchors are placed on both sides para pag may mga big waves nga at saka malakas na hangin, hindi agad masisira. May two types ng long line. Ito ay ang static long line, which is in the surface or nasa ibabaw, at ang dynamic long line na nasa submerged or nasa ilalim. Other info, did you know that the tahong capital of the Philippines is Jabong Samar? And they celebrate it every 17th day of May. It has more than 3,000 hectares of potential mussel farms. The advantage is that it self-regulates species that requires no commercial feed intake and minimal effort for growth. Sabi ko nga na kanina, it has less cost and it is easily to grow. And ang disadvantage nito is that clogging water pipes, which it resinks flow of water. Binabara nito yung mga water pipes na nagre-restrict ng pag-agos ng tubig. And may clog crab traps and clam culture bags na babara din yung mga crab traps at yung mga pag-culture ng mga clams. And in general, they are invasive species, which is invasive means they tend to spread.